So this month is basically based around Christmas, obviously, and how to kind of navigate through Christmas, because obviously it's a challenging time nutritionally, lifestyle habits. So the whole point of this is that we're not trying to be perfect at all through Christmas. As you can see, it's progress over perfection. So we want to try and create some kind of like routine and structure and, you know, the mindset around Christmas time, rather than just saying, you know, F it and then don't do anything over Christmas, which is what a lot of people can do, okay? So we would just want to make sure that this Christmas can go smoothly for you, and you can actually write down exactly what you want to focus on, the social events, the foods that you're going to be focusing on, and basically just get through it with some, and we'll come to this, like minimal targets that you want to kind of focus on. Okay, so what you don't have to do is choose between fun and fitness, so you don't have to choose between one or the other. A lot of people choose, we're either going to have fun over Christmas or we're just going to stay really strict and rigid. You don't have to be like that. You can have both, and I'm going to show you how. So just a quick share, if anyone would like to. What's the one thing you worry about most with your health or your nutrition or your routine over Christmas? Is there anything that you can think of?
I'm just really overindulgent, so I don't think about any of that usually at Christmas.
Overindulgent.
I think Christmas is, like in my head, Christmas is a time where I can be like, oh, I'll start again in January. I don't want to do that this year. Yeah,
okay. So yeah, you want to avoid the start again in January, yeah? Does everyone agree with that? Yeah. That's what we're going to come into a lot. So that's what a lot of people do. It's Christmas here, oh well, we'll just enjoy it all and then we'll start again January the 1st. Whereas, you know, we don't have to be perfect all the way through Christmas, but we can just put some little steps in to make sure that we're doing what we can. And that comes down to identity shift. So if you've been to the past ones, Fajir, Steve, Rebecca, we've talked a lot about identity shift and how we need to kind of change the way we talk about food, the way we talk about ourselves, the way we talk about exercise, and alter our identity a little bit, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. So we have some old versus new Christmas identity kind of sayings or things that you might kind of speak about. So most people approach Christmas with like an old identity. So things like, I always gain weight at Christmas. It's all or nothing. I'll just start again in January. There you go. So that's the old way of thinking, which you know, you've probably said something along them lines before. Whereas the new way of speaking is going to be, I'm someone who enjoys Christmas and still looks after myself as well. I don't throw all my progress away, I adjust. I don't start again in January, I just keep going. Okay, so just little ways of speaking and the way you kind of think about the whole Christmas period can really change your mindset. And if you change your mindset, you change your actions. And that's ultimately what's going to make the biggest kind of difference, okay? So we're going to do a quick identity exercise. So what I want you to do is write down who you are going to be over Christmas, okay? So it's going to start like this. So if you turn to page 1, I am the kind of person who... ... over Christmas. And I will give you some examples. So it could be, I'm the kind of person who moves my body most days, even if it's only 30 minutes over Christmas. I'm the kind of person who enjoys food mindfully, not mindlessly over Christmas. I'm the kind of person who doesn't turn one event into a whole week off over Christmas, okay? So just have 5 minutes just thinking about, you know, what sticks out to you, what you feel like you need to kind of focus on. You can chat to the person next to you if you want to. And yeah, just write some things down.
I've put, I'll maintain the current exercise routine, despite the fact that it's Christmas. My big thing is, probably like everybody else, I pack in at Christmas and just binge, and then I put on a bit of stone.
So yeah,
We'll keep the worse off than I was the previous year.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm determined not to do that this year.
Good, that's it. So set yourself that structure and that routine and make sure it's stuck to it.
Obviously booked more sessions than I would normally.
Good, yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like that. Like if you want to push yourself, great. But if your kind of usual routine is like 3 a week or something like that, even if you come in twice a week and you drop it down, keeping some kind of structure and routine is going to be better than just saying, oh, let's just have a week off and then start again kind of thing. We've just got to try and put that kind of routine into place, and it's a good thing that you've booked them in early, so you could all do that, go book them in, make sure that, that's what I'm doing, that's what I'm going to stick to, and then you've committed to it and then you're not going to go back on it, yeah. Cool. So, next we're going to go into some kind of alternative routines and, like I said before, minimum standards. So we're going to go into this quite a bit because it's quite an important part of this kind of whole Christmas period process. So why your normal routine won't work over Christmas. So this can be different for everyone, obviously, depending what you do, but you're going to have potentially more social events, potentially travelling around, depending where your family is, more family time, no kind of normal structure. So if you're off work, for example, you kind of lose routine and just complete structure with everything, which can be really off-putting. Lots of food you don't usually choose as well. There's going to be lots of temptations around. So just generally, the Christmas period is completely different to your normal routine. So that's why everybody gets thrown off, because you just get put into a different kind of structure and your mindset then changes around that. So instead of kind of clinging to the normal routine, we need to create a Christmas routine. So you're basically creating a different routine temporarily so that you can stick to that rather than kind of trying to force yourself in the old one or, just completely losing it. So what we want to kind of create is a gentler, more flexible version that you can actually stick to. So again, this is dependent on, what you want to get out of Christmas. Like if you really want to keep pushing with your goals, then, you've got to create some kind of strict routine if that's what you want to do. But more often than not, most people need to kind of just adjust a little bit and create a bit of a gentler routine so that we don't kind of put too much pressure on ourselves to go too hard on training and keeping control of our diet, and then as soon as something then throws you off and you've let yourself down, then generally you just kind of throw everything out the window and say, oh, I've made a mistake, I've messed up. That's kind of it, kind of thing. So what we'd rather do is just create some kind of gentle routine that we're going to stick to and say, right, that's as kind of low as we're going to get, and then that's what we can actually focus on. So what we're going to create is a minimum standards strategy. So you're all going to create your own minimum standards. So this is going to be completely personalised to you, so nobody else. This is what you want to kind of get out of it. So your minimum standards are your safety net, basically. So this is as low as we're going to kind of go. So it's not perfect, it's not all or nothing. It's just the basics that stop you kind of sliding right backwards and just doing absolutely nothing. So we can always set our minimum standards and we can always do better. So if we set our minimum standards and we do better, then we're going to feel better about ourselves because we've actually achieved something more than we kind of set for ourselves. But as long as we hold them minimum standards, then we know we're not going to kind of mess up and kind of completely go off. So for example, we can say movement, 2 to 3 short sessions a week over Christmas period. Steps, you might be at 10k a day, 12k a day already. You can bring that down to say 7 or 8k a day, just a little bit lower. Nutrition, never skip a good meal twice. So it's a really important one on 2 kind of levels. One, obviously you're going to get straight back into a healthy kind of routine. And 2, it's more like a mindset thing. So if you have had a lower nutritious meal, if you've been out or socializing for whatever reason, if we can then immediately go back into a healthy meal, the next one, it's immediately kind of reset your mind into, right, we're back into goals, we're back into eating healthier, we're back on track, rather than kind of falling into that like vicious cycle of where you have a bad meal and then it's, I'm just going to have another one and another one and another one. Okay, so never skip a good meal twice. Recovery, so decide a minimum amount of sleep that you're going to aim for. This can be a big one for people over Christmas because your routines are all over the place. You might stay up a little bit later certain nights, which, is going to happen sometimes. But if we can try and kind of, hit a minimum amount of sleep, then we're going to be able to recover better. We've gone through a lot of different sleep things on different sessions, which I won't go into too much, but just know that sleep is going to be your friend over Christmas, okay? So, recover and rest and make sure that's kind of thought of as well. Mindset, so you can do like a one daily check-in question each day. So what's one small thing I'm going to do today to look after myself? Think of one thing that you can be doing positive, write it down in a journal or something like that, and then that just keeps you on track rather than going into a slump. A lot of people can just go through Christmas just sitting on the sofa doing nothing, then the next day you're just watching box sets or whatever. So write down one little thing that you can actually do positively, so it gets you up, it gets you out. Focus on water, food, whatever it is that you need to kind of focus on. So these minimums are going to keep the momentum going. So that's the big part. It's just keeping momentum through the Christmas period, even when life does get a little bit messy, and it will for most people, depending what your Christmas period is like. Some people are super busy, some people can relax. It depends, but it just helps us keep that momentum. So it kind of stops us staying stuck and just pigging out basically, and it just helps us kind of keep that kind of flow going. So we're going to create your Christmas minimums. So if you turn to page 2, I want you to write down your minimum standards in these 3 areas. So movement, nutrition and mindset. Give it a crack. Feel free to chat. So here's some examples that you can do. So movement examples, X workouts a week, X steps a day. Nutrition examples, protein plus veg at most meals. X amount of treat occasions per week without zero guilt. So you can set yourself like a target of how many biscuits I'm going to have this week, or whatever it is, and make that your kind of like maximum amount that's not going to cause too much kind of issues with your results. And then mindset, sleep hours on average, and then your one kind of daily check-in. So I won't ask for your what you're going to put, but just make sure you follow through with these. That's all I'll say is, if you've written something down, make sure you take that into the Christmas period and stick to it. But does anyone have any just general questions around that at all? All good? Cool. So yeah, just, stick to those things and stick to kind of following through on it, because there's no point writing it down if we don't actually put it into place. All right. So, socialising without just sacking it off. So what we don't want to do is, go into social occasions and, be sat in the corner stressing about, not eating, not enjoying ourselves. We still want to enjoy ourselves, but we don't want to just go all in and just ruin everything. So there's got to be like a bit of a medium, right? So the social calendar reality check. So quick question, how many Christmas events do you think you'll have this year? Including kind of work parties, meals, family gatherings, drinks. What would you say?
I've loads already.
Had loads already?
Yeah.
Over kind of December on a whole, how many do you reckon you'd kind of have? 10?
No.
15?
No, not as many.
Not as many, a bit less?
7.
Yeah, between 5 to 10. So yeah, still quite a lot of events to kind of plan in, yeah? So this is why just kind of like winging it isn't going to work, yeah? So you're going to be surrounded by food, alcohol, late nights. The goal isn't to avoid them, it's just to like manage them, yeah? So we're not there to just avoid social occasions. If we're going to have between 5 to 10 events that you're going to be going to, then you're going to have to kind of plan around that and think about what you're actually going to do when you get there, rather than just turning up and then just being like, oh, well, I'm just going to eat this, I'm just going to drink that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what we're going to do is categorize your events into A, B, and C. So this is called the ABC events framework, okay? So it's quite a clever kind of way to do it, and I'll explain exactly how it goes around. Because not all events are created equal, so we're going to split them into these 3 different categories basically, okay? So we've got A events, go all in, enjoy it, do what you want. Christmas Day, maybe 1, maybe 2 big nights like a work Christmas do or something like that. Potentially Boxing Day, whatever you kind of do around Christmas, okay? So there are kind of A events where we can enjoy ourselves. Christmas Day, we don't want to be counting calories or anything like that on Christmas, okay? So then we've got B events, so this is more balanced. So we've got things like meals out, drinks, gatherings where you can enjoy yourself but you're just not going wild. We're creating a bit of balance. And then we've got C events, which are just basically standard choices that we're going to come across. So office chocolates, snack tables, just like everyday temptations that you're going to come across, okay? So if we can categorize our events into these 3 kind of blocks, then we're going to be able to identify how to approach them better, okay? So, when we've got our A events, then we can relax, we can, enjoy ourselves because we know it's only going to be maybe 1 or 2 days out of a month, which isn't going to completely ruin our progress pretty much, okay? You might have a little dip, but, you're going to be able to get back to it straight away. Then we've got our balanced events. This is where we need to be more mindful. This is where we need to think about how we're going to approach these events and what we're going to intake and how kind of not strict, but how we're going to basically approach our kind of overall consumption. And then these C events are just when we need to be a lot more mindful and we're not just overindulging and just taking anything that we kind of see, because there's going to be a lot more of these kind of situations probably propping up throughout December, and it's just this is what kind of ruins it for most people, is because we're just constantly little snacks here and there, grazing on things, and it all adds up a lot. For me, I just don't have that. I just wipe that out because I know if I start having chocolate, then I might have more and more and more. So I will save my chocolate to Christmas Day, and that's what I'll do. You don't have to be exactly that strict, but what I would suggest is to try and cut these down as much as you can, because they're the silent killers basically. So if we can eliminate that a little bit more, then it's going to reduce this kind of like build up of calories and build up of lower nutrition that we really just don't need. Like, this is just snacks, it's just temptation that we're kind of coming across. Like, we don't actually need that to satisfy ourselves, do we, really? Whereas Christmas Day, we don't want to wipe out Christmas Day and not kind of enjoy ourselves. You might want to kind of just fully enjoy yourself on Christmas Day, and that's cool because it's not going to have a huge dent. 1 day is not going to kill all your progress. And yeah, most people treat every event and every day of Christmas like an A event. That's the issue that most people have. We just fall into this trap of just saying, we'll just have whatever all the way through. That's not what we want to do. So let's map out your events. So what I want you to do is just think of the events you already know about, and you can do past ones as well if you want to put it in there, and just list them into the 3 categories of A, B and C. And yeah, this is going to really help you kind of just plan out Christmas a little bit better. Cool, so yeah, think about your events again. If you plan this and really kind of think about it, then it's easier to be able to kind of go into them and think about what's really important and what's maybe not as important, and where we need to pull back a bit. There's going to be times where we push and pull through Christmas, okay? So we're going to put some practical, like, social strategies together as well now, okay? So these are basically the kind of simple things that can make a huge difference with what we do over Christmas. And they're just little things that you can kind of focus on to minimise damage, minimise these events that you're going to be going into. And if you really want to stay on track and stay focused on your goals, then these are the things that you really need to kind of consider to make the best kind of possible progress through December. So, protein-rich meal. obviously this is what we should be doing anyway, but think about how we're getting protein in over Christmas as well. You know, lower nutritious food are generally lower protein food. So we need to kind of try to find ways to get that protein in. You know, a lot of my meals are, well, all of my meals are based around protein, but over Christmas, you're going to find meals that are a lot lower protein and a lot lower kind of nutrients in there, higher carbs, obviously higher fats. So can we get some protein-rich meals in and around those events as well? Because this is going to help us feel fuller for longer. It's going to contribute to our kind of muscle retention that we're putting in the gym as well. Water as well, so we can always forget about water over Christmas sometimes. Like we lose our routines, we lose our structures, and then we just don't drink enough water. So can we still focus on tracking our water if that's what we're already doing, or you know, create some kind of routine to be able to still stay hydrated over Christmas, because it's really important. And then just set an intention. So think of what version of me is going to go into tonight or today or whatever it is, you know. the loose cannon there. So think about that kind of, you know, who's going into that event. You know, what am I actually going to do? What am I going to kind of achieve? And then during, so if you can start your meals or, you know, wherever you're going with protein and veg options, again, that's going to fill you up earlier, and then you're not going to overindulge on all the other stuff afterwards. Eat slowly and mindfully. So we've covered this before. Don't just rush everything, because as soon as you rush everything, you're still going to be eating more and more and more, and then you're not going to feel full. So what you need to do is just focus on eating slowly, and then by the time you kind of finish, you know, a certain meal or a portion or whatever, then your body's going to signal that you are actually full, and then you're not going to need to overeat on other things, okay? So it takes around 30 to 45 minutes for your body to actually tell you that you're full and fully satiated, okay? So take your time on eating. So alternate alcoholic drinks with water as well. So can get in a trap of just drinking drink after drink after drink through Christmas. So again, pick your A, B and C events, and then alternate between alcoholic drinks and water. It's going to solve a hangover as well, potentially, depending how much you're having. Pause halfway through, check your fullness, okay? So when you are in a kind of eating session or whatever, just take a moment, you know, chat to the people around you. Don't just just go for it and just keep eating and eating. Just take your time, and then actually think about if you are full or not, because sometimes we just don't think, we just keep eating and eating and eating and snacking on this and that, whereas if we actually stop and think and go, oh, actually I'm quite full now and probably don't need any more, 9 times out of 10 you're actually going to feel like that. So don't just eat for eating's sake. You know, we don't really need to kind of, you know, continually fill our faces with food. You know, let's just have some kind of like control over it. And then afterwards, no guilt. No matter what's happened, no matter what you've done, eaten, drank, no guilt. That's the worst thing that you can do, because as soon as you start feeling guilty, the next day just happens exactly the same, and the next day and the next day. All we've got to say is, okay, that's happened. Next day, right, we're going to get back on it. The next meal is going to be a healthy one. I'm going to get my steps in to counteract whatever I did yesterday, and then we're going to try and get a session in the next day or whatever it is. So you just need to kind of eliminate any guilt no matter what happens, and then get straight back to your minimums, okay? So, you know, no I've ruined it talk or anything like that, because that's the worst thing, and that's the biggest thing I want you to all kind of think about, is just don't give in, don't kind of throw the towel in over Christmas. If you've had a bad day or whatever it is, don't just, you know, say, right, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. I'll just wait till January. We're not going to do that. So get straight back to it, get back to your minimums that you've written down, and then you'll be okay. So also, no over-restricting and no guilt, okay? So we don't want to over-restrict over Christmas either, because, you know, we want to enjoy ourselves. We've all got a family, we've got friends, we want to do what we want to do over Christmas. But we don't want to go into January feeling like we've let ourselves down and we're sluggish and, you know, we've not done what we could have done. So why restriction backfires as well So restriction actually breeds rebellion. So when you restrict yourself, you actually start to rebel against that, and then you want more. It's psychological, it doesn't actually work. So if you've ever said to yourself, I'm not having chocolate, have you ever wanted to have more chocolate? Yeah, it's because your brain's wanting it. And then if you say, I'll be perfect, as soon as you slip up, then you say, oh well, I might as well blow it now. I've just ruined it. So many people do this, and this is where a lot of people just go wrong, is because we just have this mentality, and it's just a cycle that you go through every kind of Christmas event, birthday event, summer barbecue, friend's birthday, whatever, you know, all these events that come up through the year, you know, we have these moments, and then that's what cycles around in a year. A lot of people do that. So we're choosing permission with our boundaries instead, okay? So we're choosing permission with what we can go to. So these are our like minimum standards, what we can kind of drop down to, okay? So if we give ourselves permission, then we're psychologically telling ourselves it's okay to just drop back a little bit through this period. But what we're not going to do is just throw the towel in and just completely, you know, throw everything out the window. So you'll have, if you've been to these sessions before, you'll have heard me talk about the 80 to 20 rule. And it's the same with Christmas again. So 80-20 Christmas approach. So across December, as like a whole, we want to, you know, have 80% of supportive choices. So healthy whole foods that we're going to, you know, get into our body and be supportive of our goals. So nutritious food, okay? 20% can be the fun Christmas extras. If we kind of go around that level, we're going to be okay. You know, we're going to still be making a little bit of progress. As long as we're doing our kind of minimums and, you know, getting exercise in and movement as well, then we're going to be pretty good. If you want to take it that extra step further and, you know, push the boundaries a little bit more, then the 90 to kind of 10% mark would be really good. Okay, so if we can stick to that, then you're going to be in a good area. Okay. So this is, you know, it's sustainable, it's realistic, and it still lets you enjoy yourself as well. So most people, you know, we probably be around kind of 30 to 70%. You know, we have 30% of good stuff probably, but the rest of it's pretty bad. That's where the damage comes, okay? So we want to stick to this kind of level. So we're going to do an exercise now. So it's called the guilt reframing exercise. So what I want you to do is think of a past Christmas blowout or overeating moment that you've had. I'm sure lots are popping up in your head right now. And I want you to rewrite the thought using this template. So your old thought could have been, you know, I've ruined everything, start again in January, for example. New thought, I enjoyed it, next time I'm gonna X, Y, Z. Now I go straight back to my minimums. Okay, so just try and think of an example that you've kind of had in the past and reframe how you'll attack that situation.
I always feel guilty when I just do nothing for a day.
Yeah.
So I've kind of said, because I always get to the end of the day and say, I can't believe I've lost today, or I can't believe I've not done anything with the day. I've just said it's okay to take a day off and relax. I'll go for a longer walk tomorrow.
Yeah, perfect, yeah. Yeah, like it's all right to switch off a bit, like, you know, you're busy all the way throughout the year, so don't feel like too much pressure to always have to do something, but then again, don't fall into a slump of just doing nothing all the way through, so it's a good thing to set that target the day after, yeah. Anybody else?
I think mine was my gym routine. I used to always think it's Christmas, I'll just have a bit of a rest, I'm too busy at work. Whereas this year, I'm in my routine, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, good, yeah. Yeah, like with the gym, you know, like it helps you stay focused on the diet as well because you're in that routine. As soon as you stop the gym, then, you know, your nutritional habits fall to the wayside as well. So there's a couple of things you can do with the gym over Christmas. So if you have been working really, really hard, it's sometimes good to have a bit of a deload week. So a deload week can come in many different forms, but the best way to do it is you stay in your routine, you stay in the gym, but you just kind of drop your intensity down a little bit. So you drop the weights that you're doing, you drop the kind of intensity that you're working at, but you're still getting the movement in, you're still getting that kind of routine and structure, and it actually helps your body recover and then come back even harder the week after. I'd only do that for, like a week period. If you're feeling fresh, if you're feeling good, keep working hard, keep pushing. But sometimes throughout the course of your year, if you are kind of training a lot, there is going to be times where you need to deload. It's just important for a hormone perspective and just your general recovery for your muscles anyway. So don't always feel like you need to be pushing all the time. There's going to be times throughout your year that you do need to kind of deload. Between 6 to 12 weeks, every kind of 6 to 12 weeks, there should be some kind of deload there. Depending how hard you're working, obviously. But yeah, if you are pushing quite a lot, that's important to factor in. So Christmas is a good time to kind of potentially do that. But yeah, it's important to just keep that structure and that routine. Don't just say, I'm just going to cut the gym this week and we'll get back to it the week after. We don't want to see that, because then everything else kind of falls because of it, okay? So we're going to put an action plan and commitments together for you. So these are going to be the things that you focus on over Christmas, the big driving factors of what you need to kind of work on. So I want you to choose the 3 most powerful commitments you want to make for the Christmas, okay? So just keep them short and based on identity and minimum standards, yeah? So for example, I train 3 times a week, no matter what. That's what I'm focusing on. I enjoy Christmas Day, guilt-free. So we're not going to stress about Christmas Day. I don't let one event become one week, okay? So little things like that, but just think of your 3 most important things that you're really going to focus on over the Christmas period. Cool, so if everyone's got their kind of targets, stick to them, yeah? Make sure they are, solidly in your routine. I'd definitely recommend sticking that up on your fridge or something, somewhere where you can visualize it and see it every day, because it will just keep reminding you, if you put that in the cupboard or whatever when you get home and forget about it, it's potential to happen. So stick to those, make sure they are, in your routine, and I'll be asking you all to let me know if you've stuck through with it in January, okay? So wrapping up, see what I did there? So you now have a Christmas strategy, okay? Not a strict diet, not perfection or anything like that. You've got a flexible plan based on identity, minimum standards, and just smarter choices that you can focus on, okay? So you can enjoy the food, the drinks, the celebrations, the time off, just without losing your momentum. So if there's one kind of big thing to take away from this, you probably kind of all know, but it's just not losing track of everything and throwing it out the window, yeah? We don't just want to go into this period and find that one day throws us off and then the rest of it's gonna go in the bin. So we've got our minimum standards, we want to stick to them, we want to make smarter choices, we just want to be mindful throughout this whole process. So then, at the end of it, those little decisions and those little smart choices is what's going to make the biggest difference, yeah. If you can stick to them, cut out those, C events, like I said, try and eliminate them as much as possible, then you're going to be doing a really good job with everything. And again, think about what you really want to get out of this. If you've got some big goals to hit, then keep pushing yourself and keep striving for that. But if you find Christmas a challenging time generally, then be kind to yourself, but just keep those minimum standards and stick to it. So that is pretty much everything from me, guys. So we've got the Habit Hub next year in 2026, so I'd love all of you to still be there. I think just keeping this in a routine is really, really beneficial to just keeping your mind in the zone and focusing on something. You're going to learn, new things as well, but generally it's a really good accountability tool for you to stay focused on the nutritional side of stuff, which is, you know, generally the hardest part when going through this kind of process. So yeah, get yourselves booked in as soon as you can on the future ones. It's going to be the last Tuesday of every month, basically. This one was just different because of Christmas. I don't want to see any of you over Christmas. So yeah, last Tuesday of every month. Same time, same place. There'll be different topics that we go through every single time, okay? And like I say, if you want to look at the ones that we've done before, go onto our YouTube channel, they're all on there. I'll bring some of the past books that we've got. Everything's in the group chat if you go on the link through there, and I'll post it on there. But does anyone have any general questions around anything that we've covered today, or any help with anything in general?
I think the sessions that I've been to have been really helpful, so thank you.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's just that accountability and keeping on track of everything and just learning a few things. To be honest, like a lot of this stuff you probably already know. I've said this before, like it's probably in there a little bit. It's just doing it and just somebody telling you to do it and then just keeping on track each month. I think a lot of the times, you know, we've got all these things to do and we just kind of, you know, just brush it away a little bit. But if you've got me telling you it every month, then it's a bit easier to stay on track. So cool, guys. Let you all go home. Thanks for coming. All right.